merger which will create an EV mammoth. Japanese automakers Honda and Nissan have announced the signing of a memorandum of understanding for business integration. Puneet brings us the details. I mean, Puneet, first of all, to understand the magnitude of it, two massive brands in the Japanese auto space now have joined hands and become one huge conglomerate. What is the impact for the global auto scene as well as in India?
Well, definitely it's been a torrid time for all global automakers, but this is one of the most pivotal mergers. It has been in the news since August. So just as you rightly said, to talk about the scale of both these, companies as well, Nissan roughly has revenues of 7 lakh crores, while Honda does about 12 lakh crores in just a single year. Combined, there will be 19 lakh crores in revenue going forward if the merger fructifies. And for some context, Maruti, India's largest automaker, does about 1.3 lakh crores in revenue. So they are massive, massive, giant companies and one of the most pivotal moments in the Japanese automaking space. When you also see that, they've also signed the MOU right now, and they are considering, it's going to be a long process over the next 12 to 18 months as well. Both these companies are listed on the exchange, so they will be first delisted and then relisted as well as a combined entity. Now, when you look at some of the key other factors as well, the timeline that they mentioned is about August 2026 is when the relisting of the company will happen. But what's important is that recently, a senior executive of Nissan had mentioned that it only have 12 to 14 months to survive. And it seems that that's going to be one of the key things for this merger, because it is a smaller partner, but essentially it looks like a tinge of nationalism under this particular merger. Apart from that, that's one of the key things that's been in the news as well, and that's hampered the stock price of Nissan as well. When you look at the other key aspects from the H1 performance that was just reported in the month of November, they had mentioned that there's a 94% fall in profits for Nissan. Their recent CFO, who was with the company for almost 26 years, has also resigned recently as well. Apart from that, they've announced 9,000 job cuts, as well as, cut production by 20% for this fiscal year. One other key aspect to note is that Mitsubishi is another player in all of this merger, because Nissan owns roughly 24% stake in Mitsubishi as well, and they've given their offer to Mitsubishi to join into this particular agreement. They are going to be, evaluating this opportunity as well going forward. Finally, how does this impact the Indian players as well? Because, guys like Motherson Sumi have roughly 5% of their revenues coming from, companies like Honda specifically. They also, their other, they get roughly about 2 to 3% of revenues coming from the Japanese market as a whole. And they've recently done 2 acquisitions, especially from Honda itself, of Yachiyo Honda recently. Now, apart from that, other auto ancillary companies that are in focus are, Uno Minda, Endurance Tech, as well as Superajit Engineering. But Samavardhan Motherson is the biggest one. But this merger is, of 2 giants coming together, as mentioned, with a tinge of nationalism, but it is expected to impact the demand in the home market as well as all across Europe as well.
I wonder what's the India impact, and thank you for that, Puneet. Very detailed piece and very clear points on how Indian companies here, including auto anchors, can be impacted. But I just want to pull up the Nifty Auto for you for a second, and then its components as well. You'll see some of the biggest losers on the Nifty today are in the auto space, and Exide, Hero Moto, Maruti, TVS, Tata Motors, all in the red today and are hurting. Exide leading that pack. Maybe Exide coming off the kind of boom it saw last few days. But Siddharth, no direct correlation perhaps, but look at the context of the merger between Nissan and Honda. It's because after a point, these 2 companies and the entire Japanese industry has been struggling under the attack of cheaper and widely available Chinese electric vehicles. What are the implications here, where EV is yet to take off at that big scale?
Yeah, Taman, I think there is definitely a lot of onslaught for the incumbents, be it India, be it Japan, especially from the new age car companies. And with EVs coming in, the entry barriers have come down a lot, because a lot of these tech companies can easily now get into the EV space. What we saw with Ola electric scooter with no distribution network, they scaled up to become a market leader. And hence some of the incumbents definitely look at consolidating their current business to make a stronger balance sheet and withstand the onslaught. So it's a cue for other Indian OEMs as well to be prepared and see whenever the industry opens up, there would be a lot of competition from some of these new age tech companies, and that is where I think a lot of industry watchers are closely monitoring the new launches, either in terms of what Mahindra is doing or what Hyundai is doing. Maruti has just announced that it will come up with some of the EV models over the next few years. So it's still a bit late to the market in terms of EVs, but nonetheless catching up. So in this entire environment, what we see, we like M&M. We believe that their models that they recently launched will definitely have some impact. They already are doing well in the SUV segment with the XUV 00 series, which has picked up well, and the core tractor business also doing well in the current environment.
Okay, just to get round that conversation off with a tech check, Hemen, anything on the charts that you like? I mean, great note this morning from Investec on a Bajaj Auto. Anything in the two-wheeler space that you'd want to pick up right now?
I think Bajaj Auto is the only one which has some saving grace, Tamanna. But I'll just briefly mention the Nifty Auto Index, like you also talked about. 7 weeks of a sideways pattern, which I thought was a consolidation, is distribution, and we are breaking down. So some more pain left. But yeah, in terms of two-wheelers, Bajaj Auto is deeply oversold. It's closer to strong supports. 8,600 is, I wouldn't have the guts to call it rock solid anymore, but rather strong support at 8,600, and we're not far away from there. So Bajaj Auto can be a contra buy, but here we are anticipating a bottom. There is still no signs of a reversal, Tamanna. Relative resilience, yes.
Relative resilience, okay, but otherwise no. It's just quite interesting as to what could happen to auto components per se and who will survive. The other aspect, I don't know, guys, I don't know how the two of you think of it, but the other aspect might be in Jan and Feb, when the BMW boards, Mercedes boards, etc. meet, and if they see that if the EV war is becoming difficult to win, do we try and set up additional lines, additional powertrains for hybrid vehicles, because that is still alive and kicking? And does it therefore bring crankshaft companies, some of the other piston companies, etc., into focus, because Europe doesn't have capacities now. There the auto capacities are gone. So therefore, if these companies, in order to try and protect that market, set up capacities and then go out to shop auto anks within the Asian region, do some of the Indian companies come to the fore? I think it's a
bit of a long shot.
But it's lovely to see what they decide in Jan and Feb. A lot of people are talking about whether these companies will be forced to do it, because it's just becoming impossible for them to compete on the price front against Chinese manufacturers. I mean, just a thought. Who knows?
Yep. Clearly a thought which we'll have to dive deeper into and really analyze better. But Himin, we took your view on Bajaj Auto. Siddharth Khemka, let me ask you, with regard to Bajaj Auto in particular, the stock had a terrific run, post which we've seen a bit of a cool off. On the fundamental side of things, looking attractive?
The entire two-wheelers, the initial pickup in volumes in the last 1 year, that has been supportive of what these stock prices reflect. But if you look at the last 2 quarters, I think they are facing a lot of pressure. Q2 margins were decent, but the overall performance, I think, especially in the festive season, there was much desired and was left without that growth. So I think valuation-wise, a little bit on the higher side, plus the growth is tapering off, and hence we are kind of sideways or neutral view on Bajaj Auto right now.
Breaking news on your screen. It's a 6-day week. Post Jan 26th.
I think we're getting 2 midweek holidays this week.
No, we're just saying this is important. I mean, the budget is confirmed Feb 1st, and the markets will be on Feb 1st, which is probably a no-brainer.
It was a no-brainer, but the official time is there. You'll have normal market trading session on budget day on 1st of February, Saturday. By the way, it's not the first time that we've had both the budget and the markets open on the 1st of Feb. May as well. I think it would be worse for everyone who's in the markets if you had the budget and no ability to trade on it.
Yeah. That would be crazy.
That would be terrible.
Imagine everything bunched up Monday morning. That would have been.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's the big story at this hour. Be ready for an exciting budget session. I would say the budget bell has officially been rung. So now all the focus on what comes next. We'll take a very quick break, but we come back with your last ideas for trade, last half an hour to go. And remember, only 6 trading sessions left. So what should be your BTST pick? We're coming back with all that and more.